I know we've spoken about this before in the past. To you, you said, hey, it's all good. If you saw Gennady, you would go up to him and shake his hand and hug him and all that. But has there been any movement on that? Have you spoken to him at all?
No, I have not seen him.
Mm.
I work with Tom. I see Tom probably once a week, and I do his shows. I do a little commentary on his shows, but I have not seen Gennady. I understand he's not in California anymore. I don't know where he's at,
Oh wow.
uh, but I understand he's not in California anymore. But no, I listen. We we created something in our gym. He created something in our gym that will never be replaced. It'll never be forgotten. We made history. Funny thing, watching the Spence and Crawford fight, I had at this place that we went to see it at a friend's house, an ex-fighter that used to be in the gym was there watching the fight too. And we all have this perception of how people are, right? Gennady's a real nice young man. Gennady was always a nice young man in the gym. Gennady was always a hard worker, as far as I'm concerned anyway. That towards the end of his career, maybe the influence of outside influences created something that didn't work for us. But this young man that was watching the fight said to me, I was asking him, what was it about camp? I just wanted like information so that I could figure out why we had the kind of success that we did. Maybe what was it about camp that that you relished or you enjoyed, and he kind of said the same thing about being around the guys. And I said, well, what about food? Because I've never had a chef in camp. I had 6 different nationalities. I wasn't going to have 6 different chefs. They all cooked for each other. They all tended for each other, all helped each other with their food. And they would go to the market and pick up the food for themselves, and then they cook it, right? And he says, but Coach, I don't think I ever said this to you. He said, did you know that Gennady would more than not, let's just say of 10 times, he said 9 times he would go to the market, he'd buy food for everybody. Imagine that. He'd go grocery shopping and buy food for everybody in camp. So wow. The reason I say wow is because the perception that sometimes people think is that everybody's fending for each other, right? I mean, for themselves. Nobody cares for anybody. But this guy, being the leader of my gym at the time, was taking care of everybody. It was heartwarming to hear that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. That's leadership right there.
Yeah, that's leadership, exactly. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, he's vacated his I don't know how many of his belts, but the belts that he had is vacated, and yeah, it's just kind of from like the outside looking in, it looks like he's close to retiring.
Well, I did a interview a month ago or a month and a half ago, and unfortunately, I forget who the young man was that I did it with him, but how it was put was that Abel Sanchez said that Gennady went out with a whimper. That's not what I said. Mm-hmm. What I said was that if it had been Tom Loeffler involved, if I'd have been involved in his walking away, he had 4 belts or 3 belts. I'm sure that his walking away wasn't something that he planned that day or when he gave up the belt that day. I'm sure there was something that he and his family talked, he and his advisors talked, and what they wanted to do in the future. I think that if he was going to give up the belts, I think that Tom Loeffler would have set up some kind of press conference at the StubHub or at the Forum or something. No, spend a little money, have a press conference, have a luncheon, and have him announce that he's retiring, or not retiring, but he's giving up the belts. And if a fight comes up that's a good fight for him, that he'll fight it. Belts are not necessary. I think at his level, belts are not necessary. I think if that right fight came along, he could fight it without the belts. But I think a press conference, you're talking about a great fighter. You're talking about a guy that's going to be in the Hall of Fame. He's a first-time ballot Hall of Famer. Come on. They should have, in my opinion, they should have given him off a send-off that was worthy of his greatness.
Yeah, we don't know what's happening. I know Mungia wants a fight with him. Charlo's been asking for a fight with him. Berlanga has been asking for a fight for him.
Listen, if it's within the next year, Mungia doesn't want nothing to do with Golovkin. And Berlanga, even worse. Charlo, the elder Charlo, he's got quick hands. He's got very decent skills, very good skills. He's a champion. That could be a difficult fight. I still think Gennady beats him, but it could be a difficult fight. But the other 2 guys, they need to stay away from Gennady Golovkin. At least right now, anyway, the next year. Don't wait till he's 48 like Bernard, but right now I think they need to stay away from him.
Oh, wow. So you feel even what they're at right now, Gennady, given his age, can still go through
Absolutely.
them.
Absolutely. Yeah. Listen, they haven't developed like we thought they were going to develop. Okay. Berlanga hasn't developed like, yes, you can give him a bunch of tomato cans at the beginning. There's a lot of guys that build up records very well, which is the way you're supposed to do it in this business. But along the way, we as the coaches are supposed to develop the talent. So when he gets to the point where he has to fight somebody, that fighter that was showcased at the beginning is going to come out when he fights, better fighters. He hasn't done that. He hasn't looked like that. He hasn't looked like he's evolved like he's supposed to. The same thing with Munguia. Mungia's got a lot of fights, but Mungia really hasn't showed us that he's on that level yet. Anyway, maybe he will.
Still a lot to work. A lot of work to be done for both. I feel. And Mungia in that last fight against Derevyanchenko, hell of a fight, but he almost got put out. Almost got put out in that fight.
And Derevyanchenko's a 60-pounder. Derevyanchenko's a smaller guy. Mungia is a young guy that's fresh still. Derevyanchenko's had some difficult fights, 3 or 4 difficult fights, tough career. So that he didn't manhandle him like he should have to belong at that level. I'm not saying he's not a good fighter. He's a very good fighter. He's a champion, but for him to belong at that level and be considered with those guys, I think he needed to dominate a little better.
Abel, you're still in retirement, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I went over to the summit. I saw the Jaime there. He's the new owner of the gym. How did that all come about?
I was ready because of COVID and because of a lot of other
and I was kind of bummed out, by the way, too.
Yeah, a lot of situations in my relationship with my fighters, with some of my fighters and some of their management. It just was at the point where I was tired of playing the politics, man. I was tired of playing the game. I'm 68 years old. I think I thought it was time for me to spend a little more time with my children and my grandchildren. And if I didn't sell the gym, then I'm still a coach. I'm still going to go to camp. You'd call me up tomorrow and say, hey, listen, I got this kid that, I think he's going to be there. And we go to the gym and we start working. And now it's another process of 3 or 4 years of getting to that point. So I felt that if I didn't sell it, I was never going to be out of it. Now, don't get me wrong. If the right situation came along where I could go to camp with somebody as an assistant or an advisor of some sort and help with my whatever it is that I do well, then I wouldn't mind helping somebody. The person had to be the right person, of course. But as far as me having a training camp, that's finished.
That's finished, done, completely finished.
Yep. Yes.
Wow. They still have one of your golden rules up there.
What's that? Which one? No girls?
Yes.
No girls?
No womans. Even though they spelled it wrong, but they put no womans in there.
Yeah. You know what? I've always thought it was a distraction. There's some ladies, of course, some fighters that are fighters. They're women, but they're fighters. But some of the ladies that used to come in there with the boyfriends, let's just say, and they come in dressed in a way that other fighters are going to look at them, and I didn't want a problem in there. I didn't want you bring your lady in and one of the fighters looks at her and makes a rude comment because they have been in camp for 8 weeks. And now we got an issue, and why create the issue? That's really why I did it. I just didn't want the distraction or the chance of somebody saying something stupid.
Do you miss it?
I miss it terribly, man. Of course. But I don't miss the training camp aspect of it. I miss the fighters. I miss being in the gym with the fighters. I miss coaching. I miss being in the corner in the fights, even though I still work some corners with Ben. Ben Lira, I work all with him. I assist him in the corner. But I miss just the camaraderie of being around the fighters and watching them smile and watching them grow. I think that's something that can never go away. They're like your children.
Yeah, no, that's true. It takes a while for it to get out of your system, and I don't think it ever really does completely get out of your system.
It never does. That's why I knew that if I didn't sell the gym, that I could never be out of it. So this way, I kind of have like a buffer. I don't have the ability to just shoot on up the Big Bear and boom, I got a training camp. But the on the plus side, I'm spending more time with my wife and with my children and with my grandchildren, and I have three of them that are in the toddler stage and below. So that's been a lot of fun being able to watch them grow.
Oh, I bet, because this job in general, I think for everyone, but especially the fighters and the trainers, requires a huge sacrifice that ends up taking a lot of times away from spending with your family and friends.
Yeah, I think people don't realize, a lot of people that are not in this business don't realize that a fighter, yes, a fighter spends a lot of time away from his family. But a fighter only has one career. We have 6, 7 careers. Look at Derek right now. How many fighters does he have? He's got 6 or 7 decent fighters, good fighters. So that means he's got 7 careers, not just one. He's got 7 careers he's got to juggle and be away. So when he gets through with one fight, he's got 2 or 3 fights coming up. So where's the time for family? Where's the time for personal life? And I think a lot of those things are missed by a lot of coaches that, of course, we love what we're doing, but still, we're missing out on a lot of things that we may regret later.
Abel, with the gym, if the opportunity came, you're great at real estate, to flip it back, would you try to buy it back?
No, you know what? There's a lot of facilities everywhere. But if listen, if they got tired of it and they gave me they made me an offer, then yeah, I would consider it, of course. Yeah. In the real estate part of it and also in the gym part of it, but there's a lot of training camps all over the world that you can go to train. In fact, I think Sebastian Fundora's dad just bought a piece of property up by Bakersfield that they're trying to make a training camp, which is fantastic. He's putting his money where his mouth is, the coach, Freddie, and that's what you have to do. You have to take a chance. There's not enough coaches out there taking a chance to delve completely into it, like, let's just say I did, or Ronnie's done, or several other coaches have done, where you completely immerse yourself in the business and do the things that are necessary, spend the money that is necessary to be able to not only develop your skills, develop your career, but develop other fighters. That's the one thing that I don't really like about what they're doing here in Big Bear with the Mungia. The coaches that are not in the camp, I drive by it because I have another house up here. So I drive by it all the time, and I see it vacant. They're not using the facility to develop other talent. I'm sure the coaches have a lot of other fighters that could benefit from being up in Big Bear, and being around good fighters makes you a better fighter.
Yeah, very true. I believe it's your old gym, and I don't know if Oscar still has his gym house over there. I don't know if Shane still has his gym house over there.
Shane has his, but Shane's a little bit smaller, his place, and
yeah,
and I don't think that he has it set up that way to bring in 3 or 4 guys that are gonna develop, within 3 or 4 years. When we were running the gym here in Big Bear, we always had, anywhere from 6 to 7, 8 guys, and we always had people always knew that there was sparring up there. There was always good sparring. So if you came up, you're gonna get sparring. If you came up, you're gonna get some good sparring, and you're gonna get the altitude, and you're gonna get treated well, and we're all gonna benefit from it. I don't think that Shane is doing that, because I don't think Shane wants to put the time into it, one. And I think his son is in Vegas anyway, so there's no reason for him. And I don't think Mungia is doing that. His people are not using it to the fullest, I think. And that's sad.
Yeah,
We saw it. It's set up it's still set up the same way. The pictures may be gone, but it's still set up the same way. I left everything. I
was there. I saw it.
Yeah,
Everything's the same.
Yeah. What I did,
minus you and the t-shirts.
Just so you know, what I did was I volunteered, or I offered to come in for a couple months and kind of teach them, or kind of show them what I did. Doesn't mean that they have to do it. It's just to show them what we did, and with the equipment, how we use the equipment and all that. And they didn't want me to, so that was okay. I mean, but I don't think you're ever too old to learn something.
Yeah.
And they could have just had another view of how it was done, and because it was successful, that gym was successful. We made a lot of champions there. We made 6 world champions. So I think that the fact that there's so much equipment there that maybe they have no clue how to use it properly, or the way that it was designed, because I didn't take nothing. I left everything as it was.